Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here on Little Light Wellness Podcast. It's been a minute since we've had one. I've been under the weather, and I'll just tell you, foam dust. I was working on my cold plunge, so I have a tub that usually I have water around 40 degrees. Anytime I need, I hop in every day, and I messed up a piece of the pipe, and so I had to do some work under it and redo some plumbing, and there's a lot of foam under there for installation purposes. And yeah, that really messed my lungs up. I'm still not 100%, but I'm back. So a little bit there. It's taking a little. It took a little bit of a step back in a lot of our projects that we were wanting to work on, especially when you need to do voice stuff and so forth. So, but we are back, and in this episode, what I want to talk about is something that I've been working with patients and what I've been seeing in conversation. I've had this a lot of times in my old office where I will explain how we explain chiropractic to someone and they'll go, I've been to many chiropractors, but I never heard it that way. Or wow, I never knew chiropractic was like that. And it's always fascinating to me because what I'm sharing is basic principles of what chiropractic truly is. And there's a big misconception in chiropractic because to me, it's one of the misunderstood professions in the world. Because when people think of chiropractic, they think of when I have neck pain, back pain, headaches, or migraines, and they get put in that envelope, sometimes even upset stomach like GERD or acid reflux. And when we look at this from a pediatric standpoint, most parents don't think of chiropractic first. They go and ask in their groups, mom groups, or look around or Google like crazy, whatever their child may be dealing with, how to solve that. But the problem with it is they never get the root cause. And I could share hundreds and thousands, almost not thousands, probably thousands, but hundreds of stories of moms who went through that rabbit hole route 4, 6, 8 months, and they may have solved something like, let's say, eczema or something like that. And then all of a sudden there's something else that shows up 6 months down the road because we never really took care of the root cause of why that's there. And so I'm going to break down chiropractic in this episode a little bit. That's a little different than what you've heard of before. But before I do just that, I want to make sure that I dive into a little bit of the neurology, basic understanding of it, so that you can understand really what we're doing as chiropractors and how we help change people's lives. We help you adapt, and I'll get into all these different essence. I'll share how I share chiropractic with patients, especially adults, so that we have a deeper understanding to knowing what is it that we really do. Because one of the things about chiropractic that whenever we have someone in the business world comes into our world and understands the chiropractic profession, they're very mind boggled by the concept that chiropractic has a 92% satisfaction rate. That is the best out of anything, any alternative health process that you go through, acupuncture or massage or any holistic type stuff, nutrition stuff. Chiropractors have the highest satisfaction rate, but we have one of the lowest negative viewpoints from the public. That's two polar ends of the scope there. I mean, if you have a 92% patient satisfaction rate, well, then the viewpoint from patients should be extremely high, but we're not. And I think there's sometimes a misunderstanding in all that. So let's go ahead and let's dive into something that I share in my office. And I actually learned this through my certification program. And then I've heard from others using this. And it just makes sense because we all drive cars, or you've been in a car before. And we understand gas pedal and we understand brake pedal. Okay. In your nervous system, you have two parts. One is known as the gas pedal, or the scientific term is sympathetic nervous system. The other part is the brake pedal, which is known as the parasympathetic. This is your autonomic nervous system, ANS for short. And what this is the nervous system that runs on its own. We know now that this is something that we may be able to influence in some ways, but this is a system that you don't have to worry about. When you eat something, you don't have to worry about anything. If you see a lion ahead of you, you don't have to worry about your blood moving from the organs to the muscles. Your heart rate's fast picking up. You're shallowing breathing, so you're getting ready to fight, freeze, or fawn, whatever that may be, and so forth. You don't have to worry about any of these things. You know, your nervous system is this autonomic. It runs all the time on its own. So the gas pedal side of your nervous system is the part of what is known as breaking down the body. We call this catabolic. And so what that means is that you're revving everything up. So you have more waste products. And so your heart rate goes up. Your digestion turns off, or slows down. Your hormones or your endocrine health or sexual health, that's going to slow down, or it's going to minimize. You're going to have your immune system's going to start to go down because sympathetic immune system's not there as much. When you have these things, digestively, I said, certain brain functions, cognitive function, when it comes to what makes us more human, future planning, things like that, the prefrontal cortex right behind our forehead, those are things that are not going to be firing pretty well. So these are all minimized, right? Blood pressure goes up, sugar levels go up. You have all these different things that are happening in the gas pedal, okay? Healing does not happen in the gas pedal. Adapting, self-regulating, self-organizing does not happen in the gas pedal. The second part of this nervous system is known as the brake pedal, which is going to be the slowing down, slowing everything back down. This is where rest and digest, growth and development is. This is where your digestion is. This is where your immune health is, your sexual health, your hormone balancing. This is your cognitive function, deeper centers of the brain, higher consciousness levels or higher cognitive function is located there. When we stimulate that part, we can slow and calm and recenter. And so that brake pedal system is what helps us heal. It also helps us repair, and it helps us self-regulate. So that's the critical part. Now, when we look at society today, now I'm going to share my own anecdotal information stuff. I've been a chiropractor for 14 years, and I had a practice for 11 years. I just got back into it a couple months ago, and I took a 2-year break. And so in my 11 years of study, I am a data freak or data, I don't know how to call it. I just love data. I'm always looking at data and complementing numbers and information because I like to be as concise and logical in what I do in every step of the way so I can show that to patients when we're doing work and how we're getting results. And so one of the things I started tracking back in probably 2013, 14, is I started seeing a trend. I had a technology that utilized heart rate variability. Now, it's not the one like the Oura Ring. It's not like the one that you may see in Elite HRV or Whoop or these other ones. There's too many variables in that doesn't make it clinical setting. You have to have, there's certain things that have to be done to minimize any influences outside so that we can see exactly true science, what is going on with your heart rate variability. And so with that, what I started tracking is seeing how many people that I worked with were stuck in a sympathetic dominant state when they came into our office. We call this being the gas pedal revving or stuck. It's turned on and it's just revving. You conditioned yourself that way. Not only that, I started tracking infants that I would see, newborns, a couple weeks old, a week old, 3 days old, 5 days old, a month old. And I wanted to see how many of those were stuck already or revving already in that gas pedal state. And what was fascinating, again, this is anecdotal. This is just my experience as a chiropractor in my practice. What I saw in adults was about 98% of them were stuck in a gas pedal state already, revving, burned out, exhausted. I see infants about 75% of the time stuck in a gas pedal state already. And so they have this sympathetic dominant state where they're not healing, they're not growing, they're not developing, not repairing properly, and so much more. And so with these two nervous systems, most people are stuck in their overdrive gas pedal, revving like crazy. What does that look like in society today? Loss of impulse control, hyper reactive, anxiety, anxiousness, racing thoughts, not sleeping well. I mean, let's face it, Americans, we have one of the worst sleeps. I think we're down to 5.9 hours average. There's more people, like sleeping medications are on the rise. People taking sleep aids is on the rise. We are just revving so much. We're not restoring. And it's showing. Look at our health as a society. It just keeps declining. Mental health is going down. COVID accelerated it, but it was already happening even before that. And so you look at all these things. Kids with chronic illnesses are predicted to have 80% of American kids are going to have chronic illness about roughly 2026. This is sympathetic dominance. This is that gas pedal being revving like crazy. And we have weaker and weaker brake pedals. See, the thing is, it's not that we rev the gas pedal all the time, and then we got to stimulate more of this brake pedal. What happens is when you rev gas pedal so much, you weaken the strength of pulling you back to center with the brake pedal. And that's what's happening with most people in today's society. Again, anecdotal information of what I've done with my research, but I see it. And now that I've been back in practice, I don't have that technology just yet that I'm using, but I use other things that can show me that. Because if you're in a gas pedal state, position. And if it's with kids, we look at things neurodevelopmentally wise to see how their brain is it, how much is it truly evolving to the stage of where they are gestationally, their gestational age. But the other thing is we look at for adults, and we can tell it's the same thing. It's probably even worse than it was before because we're 2, 3, 4 years out of COVID. People have long COVID. There's other stresses now. There's massive inflation. Everybody's grocery bill went up. Doesn't matter where you shop, and so much more. There's a lot more stress put on the people, and this is what I'm noticing right now. And so, what's the purpose of all me sharing this? Is that because when you understand that if you want to adapt to your environment, if you really want to thrive and be the healthiest you possibly can be, you have to have a very strong brake pedal system. Now, there are things out there that stimulate the brake pedal. There are things out there. You can do breath work and stimulate it. You can, there's all these factors of what you can do. From an HRV perspective, chiropractic is the one thing that gets long-term results better than anything else out there. Because what chiropractic does is we're not forcing anything. We're removing why stress is even firing in the nervous system in the first place. We call this a subluxation. And when we do that, then all of a sudden the body can now go back to restoring and balancing itself a little bit more. We stimulated that brake pedal. We're strengthening that up a little at a time. And it's not a one and done. A lot of times we learned in society that from the medical world primarily, that, I just do this and I get this result and then I'm good. Hey, I got back pain. I just want one adjustment or two adjustments. I know that I tell you how many times I heard this from a patient. Patients will be like, I just know I come in. I just need one or two adjustments. I've been to chiropractic before. You do a certain adjustment. I feel good. I don't need to come back. And that's fine. It's their person's health. That's what I always tell them. But at the end of the day, you are missing out because your one adjustment does not change your neurology at all. It doesn't. We don't even make a dent into that. It's like trying to say you worked out one time and you're in the best shape of your life. It's like saying you went to practice the violin or the piano one time and you're the best. It's like saying you wanted to learn a new language and you did one day of studying, let's say 5 hours of studying, and now you're an expert in, let's say, Spanish. It doesn't work that way. It's not how the brain works. This is neurology we're talking about. And so neurology is repetition over a period of time starts to hardwire that into the brain. There's a law that's called Hebb's law. And what it means is that nerves that fire together wire together. So every time you fire a pathway into the brain, you're creating a stronger weight of the connection. And the stronger that is, the way I can explain it to patients is like we're widening the highway to make that pathway easier to fire. Because neurology, just like electricity, goes the path of least resistance. And so whatever pathway is wider or stronger, heavier weight or better weight connection there, weighted connection, that is going to allow for that pathway to fire a lot easier. And that's why so many people are stuck in stress, and it fires your anxiety, your worries, and your fears. And it's so easy to be overstimulated, and so quickly you get lost in the social media world and all these other things. It's because we're stuck in that neurological state. And so chiropractic changes that through building up the brake pedal system. And that's what we do. We give you a stronger brake pedal so that when you have to go in gas pedal, because we're all going to have to do that, it pulls you right back into center. So that whatever needs to be repaired and healed, whatever you have to adapt to, maybe more digestion, maybe focus a little bit more on the immune system, wherever that energy has to go, you're going to thrive in that process. And this is the true element, because those who can adapt to their environment thrive. Those who can adapt are healthy. They're vibrant. And it's a work of art. It's a work in progress. Health is not a one and done. It's not a destination. It is a journey. It's something you continually do throughout your whole entire life. If you want to be healthy and vibrant and live your best years, you have to get away from what the medical model system has taught us, is that when something's wrong, I go to the doctor and I take care of whatever that is, a pill, medication. Or, hey, I'm going to take that same ideology and philosophy. I'm going to put it in a holistic model like chiropractic and say, hey, I got back pain. I want to come here, 5 adjustments and be done. That's not how chiropractic works. We are in the health. We're in a holistic realm. We're in our own health world, because how we do things is vastly different than majority of things. You can go to a functional medicine doc and they'll go ahead and say, well, we're holistic. And they'll take your lab results and they'll say, based on your lab results, you're going to need XYZ supplements. We're going to have to do this and blah, 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 change your diet, do that, and this and this. And that is focusing on what is showing up in the moment. Chiropractors, it doesn't matter what you have at all. A true chiropractor, if you have back pain, neck pain, headaches, digestive issues, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, ALS, it doesn't matter what you have going on, autism, spectrum, ADHD, hyperactivity, alphabetical soup, OCD, anxiety, depression, Does not matter. The label, the term, the diagnosis, the code that's put on there, it does not matter. A true chiropractor is going to go ahead and look at the spine and see what needs to be adjusted. And the chiropractor is not focusing because it doesn't treat any condition, illness, symptom, or disease. What chiropractic focuses on is focusing strictly on what is going on in that spinal cord, the spine itself, what miscommunications or what we call subluxations that are in the spine that are interfering with this communication system between the mind and the body. So let me dive a little deeper into this element because this is the second step I want to get into, and I'll talk about how chiropractic ties it all together. And so we say this word subluxation. This is the essence of why chiropractic exists today. So subluxation, fancy word, as I tell patients all the time. But what a subluxation is sub means below, lux means light or life, ation's a state of being or condition. So if you have a subluxation, you're in a state of being or have a condition of that is less light or life that you can express upon the world. Now, what does that mean? That means that when you have less life force expressing through you, you are not living your best life from a health perspective. You're not as vibrant. Or if you think of it as like a dimmer switch on a light, your light is not as bright as it should be. So it's dimmed. But you know what? Most people are like, I got dimmed light. It's okay. I'm still living life. I don't feel pain. I don't have issues that I don't know of, at least. I'm not aware of it. And they continue dimming the light, till all of a sudden, boom, here comes something. Maybe it's a back going out. Maybe it's a diagnosis. Maybe it's a certain condition, right? And when people get to that point, even if you're in a state of pain, you're too far gone. You're in a crisis state. Your body's in a crisis state. Now there's a lot of work. We have to get you out of that crisis state, rewire this body, the nervous system. Start removing the subluxations to allow more light force and light flowing through. And when you can allow more light force to flow through you, the essence of who you are shines more. In chiropractic, we do not help people live longer lives. What we do is we help them live more life within the years they have, whatever that's going to be. I always tell people my goal as a chiropractor is I want to see you like a candle, like a normal candle. Here's the flame, that's you. And as that flame goes down, it just goes, bright as can be, always bright, till one day, maybe a couple flickers, and then poof, gone. What we see in society is this. Candle, flame, dim, couple flickers, staying very dim, more flickers, dim, till eventually it just goes out. There's no right or wrong to any of this. It's just what life do you want to live and which one do you want to experience. And in chiropractic, we help individuals truly thrive and truly evolve to being the best version that they can. So when you're going to a chiropractor who is focusing on subluxations, who is focusing on seeing what needs to be removed to help the body express more life force, right? Because when we remove a subluxation, we're increasing more light or life that you can express upon the world. And that creates adaptation. And from adaptation, that's going to allow you to thrive. Because Charles Darwin said it best. It's not the strongest or the fittest that's going to survive. He got misquoted. You can Google this. He said it's the ones that can adapt will be the ones that will survive. And adaptation is truly the key to knowing how well you're going to function. And nervous system is everything. If you're stuck in a gas pedal state, I don't care how many pills you take. I don't care what mindfulness techniques you do. You have to work on that nervous system and remove those subluxations. Help that nervous system function better, communicate better. And from there, you start to thrive and adapt. And that's what a chiropractic adjustment does. And there's principles to the chiropractic adjustment, which are repetitive things that need to be done over a period of time. This is neurology. It's basic neurology. This is not, a chiropractor is just saying. I tell patients all the time when I give them care plans, you can argue with us all you like. You can disagree or disagree. At the end of the day, it's neuroscience. Whether you want to learn a new instrument, whether you want to learn a new language, whether you want to learn a new skill, whatever that is, there's a certain process of a frequency that you have to expose yourself to it over a certain period of time in order to grasp that and utilize that to become wired into your brain and become a natural habit for you. It's just basic neurology. Chiropractic's the same thing, nothing different. We focus strictly on the nervous system. At the end of the day, whatever state your nervous system is in is the experience of what you're going to have in life. So one more thing I'll leave with you guys is that remember when I used to do HRV, when I used to do those scans, I'd have more times than not, probably 50, 60% of the time, patients will look at me and go, you're literally telling me my life, how I respond, how I think, how I react, how my emotions are. How do you know this? Are you a psychic? And I said, absolutely not. I go, I'm looking at what state your nervous system's in. And from there, I already know the level of consciousness of where you're living. If you're stuck in a gas pedal state, you're more in the reptilian brain, maybe mammalian, which is the middle part of our brain, but the reptilian is right, behind the back of our head. It's the lowest part of our brain. It's the oldest, and that's pure survival. And the mammalian is memories to things, right? This is the memory brain. So like a dog knows that, hey, I know if I go in this corner, there's some treats there. Every single time it's there. And if it's not there, they'll still remember, like, hey, let me go check again because it might be there. It's a memory thing. And so this is where you build up on memories and stuff and conditioning. We want to get to the highest level you possibly can with your brain to see things totally different. So just a conscious level. I tell clients, my coaching clients that I work with, that if you're stuck in a gas pedal, you cannot see things at a higher level. You can't see opportunities, can't take advantage of what's out there for you, can't be as creative, because when you're a reptilian brain, creativity is out the door. Imagination, out the door. The beautiful colors of life, out the door. When you're stuck in a gas pedal state, life is less colorful. It's more mute. There's more survival mechanism, more reaction. You're just sitting there waiting for the next thing because you have all this pent-up energy in that nervous system. And this is what happens to kids. This is why it's critical for kids to get adjusted, make sure they're neurologically developing the way they should. And it's critical for someone who's pregnant, because you don't want to be in a neurologically stressed state while you're trying to have a baby and try to have that birth process and labor process and the whole pregnancy experience be as beautiful as you want it to be. If you're stuck in a gas pedal state, it's not going to go potentially, may I say, I don't want, potentially, it's not going to go, based on neurology, it's not going to go that well. There's going to be maybe some complications. Maybe there's going to be a stronger active labor process. Maybe there'll be no more pushing that is needed. Maybe things aren't going to progress as well as they should. They could. I'm not saying they won't. Body's amazing at adapting. You have to understand that. That's what I'm saying. There's a possibility because the body can adapt. But there's things that can happen. But with chiropractic, we know for sure, and on the science, again, building up the brake pedal, when we do that, easier pregnancies, easier labor and delivery. Less stress on baby, less stress on mom. Less time to get that process done, and better recovery. Why? It's not because there's a magic technique to it. It's because we build up the brake pedal system. And that's the simplicity I wanted to leave you guys with. So it's gas pedal, brake pedal. When we focus on those things, that's what becomes a game changer for y'all. So that's what I got for y'all. If you are pregnant, I have a 4-part video series that you can check out, link in the show notes. If you have a child with, just in general, or you have someone who has been labeled with ADHD, ADD, or they have focus issues or speech delays or constipation or colic, or they're not sleeping well, they have allergies, they get chronic ear infections, I can go down a whole rabbit hole, a whole long list. I have a 4-part video series called The Domino Effect. Link in the show notes. Check that stuff out. I have a special offer in there if you watch the videos about chiropractic and how it can help in that process. So thank you for tuning in. Please do me a great favor. Please share a review if you like this, what I shared here today, or you've watched some of the other episodes. Please share this with someone who you know that could benefit from this, and subscribe to the podcast. Appreciate it, guys. My name is Dr. Vic Manzo. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.